We are on module number 40, it says. I think that's right. Let me see if that's right. No, module 41, which is the buyer info sheet. And I'm here with Ashley and Andrew, and Ashley's going to be the customer first, and then and I'm going to be the agent. And I'm going to generally and pretty swiftly go through this. So I'm out in front of the house, or what am I? I'm the agent. You're the customer. You're out in front of the house. You're on 229 Wilson Street, which is a $150,000 house. And you're out in front, and you call me, and I say, "Hi, this is Dave with Hooke and Ekman. How can I help you?"
Yeah, I was calling about the house on 229 Wilson Street.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What can I tell you about that property?
Could you tell me how many bedrooms are currently in the home and baths?
Yep, let me just pull that information up for you. And while I'm doing that, let me just, in case we get disconnected, let me verify some quick information. What's your first name?
Ashley.
Ashley, and your last name, Ashley?
Stauffer.
Okay, great. And the number you called on, 555-1212, is that the best number to reach you in case we get disconnected?
Yeah, that's my cell phone.
Okay, Ashley Stauffer, 717-555-1212. Great. So Ashley, that property has 4 bedrooms, and you asked about the, is that all you asked for, or did you have another question?
The baths, how many baths?
Oh, and it's 2.5 baths. Is that along the lines of something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, we were looking at a minimum of 3 bedrooms and two baths, so that's perfect.
Okay, great. And what brought you out to this particular neighborhood today, just out of curiosity?
I really like the Carlisle area. That's where I was born and raised, and this house is beautiful. I actually drove by, and I like the look of the outside, so I was just curious about some information about the inside.
Okay, cool. So you say you're moving into the Carlisle area?
I'm actually from the Carlisle
You're from the
area.
Carlisle area.
Yes.
Oh, and are you in a rental now, or are you in a home that you own currently?
Right now we're currently renting.
Okay,
Yes.
Great. So that's exciting. First home.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. So this home is 149.9. Is that generally a price range you have peace of mind about, or are you in another range?
Yeah, that's a great price range. It's a little bit on the lower end for us, but I mean, if this is the house, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, great. And then also, just out of curiosity, if you found the perfect house, if this is the one, and maybe we want to take a look at it here this afternoon, when do you feel like, given your lease on the other property, you'd be in a position to make a purchase?
Probably within the next 3 months. We're looking to buy. Our lease is up with, in the next 2 or 3 months, but after that, it's, month to month. So the sooner the better.
Okay, great. And is this something we can take a look at here? I guess you're out front. Do you want me to pop over there and open the door for you?
Yeah, if you're willing to do that, able to, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll take care of that. I'll be right over. Before I let you go, though, so I'm not stepping on anybody else's toes, if you found a home that you love, are you already working with a real estate agent?
No, we're not currently working with anybody now.
Okay, just so I can come prepared, do you know how you'll be financing a property purchase?
Yeah, we'll be taking out a mortgage.
A mortgage? Have you already talked with a mortgage company, Ashley?
We have not yet, no. We're currently, browsing, looking around, so we haven't had a chance to, no.
Okay, great. I'll make sure to put you in touch with somebody that has done a real good job for a lot of our clients when I get there. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay.
So what I didn't do there is I didn't do a lot. I didn't say, when I get there, we're going to go over the consumer notice and unemployment contract to let you in the house so I can talk freely about it. I didn't say I'll need 15 minutes afterwards just to go over our part of the process in case you decide you want to buy a home. You can use a buyer's agent. Depending on the nature of the call, that may be one where I wasn't able to use those tools.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have them. She wanted off the phone, and so I just got the appointment. What I did do, though, is I did LP Mama. Right? You heard location, you heard price, you heard motivation. 3 months out, she's in a lease. You heard, do you have an agent and financing? And so we got those. We got some basic contact information. We know they're not working with another agent. I got their motivation level was pretty high. It's probably a 4 because she's in 3 months. I got their price range, $149.9 to maybe $175. Time frame is 3 months. Desired areas are Carlisle. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. I didn't get garage or style of the home or any special needs. So about 60% of this form's filled out at this point. And I can get the top lead generator. So it's, yard sign. Sorry, we changed those. Comp type is system and source of lead is sign call. So that's what that would look like. And what I said you always get is basic contact information in LP Mama. And the buyer info sheet will help you get that basic information. And then anything else you want to get, you can kind of use this while you're at the house if you want to gather special needs of a home or any other, information about them.
Does this buyer information sheet, do a lot of the agents use this when they're on the phone with their
I've seen newer agents tend to a little bit more. Like I don't see John using it anymore. He did for like probably 6 or 8 months. John likes to be paperless, so he uses his accountability tracker, but he doesn't use many papers. He keeps the notes in the CRM, in the contact. So he adds their name to the CRM, and he'll be typing notes like this in their contact information in the CRM. Yeah.
He probably doesn't need this anymore because
he's been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right.
Maybe I missed this, but when you mentioned about the lender, you said that you didn't work with one, correct?
No.
So you were going to bring names with you. Now, I know we've talked about like when someone isn't pre-approved.
Yeah.
But you kind of let's not put the cart before the horse.
Yep.
Especially since it's a home that she said she loves.
Yep.
She might not be able to afford it for whatever reason.
Yep.
You're still going through with the appointment regardless
Good,
of that?
really good question. So I'm going to use, so when you're on a call with somebody, you can generally, it's not 100%, but your gut will tell you when they have good life skills. I mean, you will get train wreck calls where the person's like, I mean, it's almost like
what's a lender?
Yeah, like I get a job application and it's like it's just I know the person's not qualified because they can't type like an unfragmented sentence, right? And I just know that after having a 30-second conversation with them, they're probably not qualified for any type of position. Like they don't have the capacity for it. Mm-hmm. I don't need to meet with them to tell them that. And there's a little probably stereotypical, but it's just the reality of quick conversations. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of, it's a really good question because I put as much science into this as I can, but even so, about 50% of it is subjective, mm-hmm. and I can only get about half of it objective. And the part that's subjective is like, all right, I'm giving a loan with my time. So this is the thing. I'm giving them, my time's worth $40 an hour. I'm giving them $40, and what are the chances I'm going to get it back? So I'm always gambling with my time. And so Wilson Street is a mile down the road. I know I don't have any appointments for the next 2 hours. And the tone of this particular buyer is strong. Like, I'm with my spouse, we have kids, we're in a rental, we're a first-time home buyer. I might have, and I don't know that I did, but if I could have, I would have probably hit on job. Like, oh, what are you doing, Carlisle? You know, I lived here all my life. What is it that you do for work? Right? I might throw that in there. That's really helpful on the financing side. I'm a teacher, mm-hmm. right? All that stuff's checking out in my brain, and I'm like, they're not working with an agent. They're right there. They want in the house. They don't have a lender, but they've been shopping, so they know what they're doing. Like, so I'm probably not going to press them. I'm not going to use that requirement. Now, houses, you know, and this is just the reality. So, houses in Hershey, right? They want to see it 2 days from now. You know, it's a lower price home. They're a little difficult. Like, they're not open with me and generous with their words. It doesn't feel real great. I'm probably going to firm up my requirements on that one a little bit. So, hey, actually, great. We got the appointment for Friday. Can't wait to meet at the property. But since you haven't talked with the lender yet, tell you what, I'm going to have somebody call you tonight at 5:30. No, 5:30 isn't. All right, how about tomorrow at 5:30? We're not meeting until Friday. Her name's Jess. She's going to do a review. In case the seller asks on Friday, I just want to be prepared. They sometimes ask, is your buyer pre-qualified and stuff like that. I'm going to tell Jess that, you know, you're not signing anything. It's no pressure. She doesn't even need to pre-approve you, but we do need to make sure you have peace of mind about this price range. So how about she gives you a call tomorrow, and then we'll chat briefly before the appointment. Then I'm going to call Jess at 6 tomorrow and say, how'd that go? and she says it's not happening, I'm going to call and say, hey, we need to cancel your appointment, right? But for Wilson Street, it's right here, total competence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happens if you have a scenario where, you know, it is in Hershey and you do have that 2-day window to make the appointment with Jess to get them on the phone to see if they're pre-approved, but they just don't have the time to? Do you push back the appointment so you can say, well, before we meet, you know, to give you a peace of mind, we recommend that you get a pre-approval from, you know, a lender first. Do you say anything along that line before you go and waste 45 minutes of your time driving there to find out that, you know, they...
Yeah, it depends. So in a perfect world, yes.
Right.
And, you know, it's helpful to, you know, feel like I don't have time to talk to a lender. You're going to need to make a call. And you know, every time you loan somebody $40, you're making a gamble. It's just a gamble with that money. And the question is, given the information that you have, are you willing to take the gamble, or are you gonna dig in your feet a little bit and say, listen, it's part of our program, it's part of our policy. We need to make sure that you're financially at peace with this before we go confirming a showing with the seller. And you need to be willing just to lose the buyer at that point, because you might. And so some buyers I'm just willing to lose. Other buyers I'm totally willing to take the gamble. And there's a lot of elements at play. Some of the elements are, how far is the house? So how much of a loan am I giving them? Some of the elements are, how busy is my schedule this week? Right? If I'm crazy busy with buyers, I'm probably going to firm things up a little bit more than if I have nothing. Right? Because I know if I can at least get in front of somebody, it's going to increase the odds I'm going to pick up an extra client more than if I, you know, put the gates up with my time. So I'm just more generous with my time when I'm less busy. So a lot of things play into the judgment calls that I make with the 50% that's subjective with all of this.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking out loud here. So say they don't have the time to meet, you know, to get on the phone with Jess or a lender. They're not pre-approved. They're in Hershey looking for a house. You're not busy this week. And, you know, I'm being optimistic here. Well, say worst case scenario, you go to Hershey, you meet with them, and they want this house, and they try to get pre-approved, and they're not. Well, that's still potential for them to work on whatever issues that they have to maybe purchase later on down the road, and you would be that go-to person.
Yeah, if you've had a meaningful conversation, you know, showed up and like, hey, I totally get it. You guys can't buy, but I'm happy to help you through this process. I just really loved working with you at the house, and I just want to be part of this with you, even if it's 6 months from now. So let's get to work and make this happen for you. You know, let's have another meeting with Jess, figure out what credit lines we need to close, what we need to pay off or refinance, and let's make this happen for you in 6 months. You know, so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really not maybe a waste of time. There's still the potential that you could turn that into a sale. It just may not be right within 3 to 6 months. It may be a longer process.
That's exactly right.
So,
and I had a call with a client the other day, a customer who's referred to us, and this lady was a first-time home buyer, and she said that her budget was $550 a month, which is super, super low. And now this is going to take a little bit more research for you, but I said to her, Patty, because I set the appointment for actually today at 4:30. This was Monday. And I had her set up to meet with Chrissy. And I said, Patty, I'll tell you what, now that I know a little bit more about your budget, because I set the appointment, then I qualified her, which I do a lot of. Let me just get a little bit more information. I had the buyer info sheet out. I use the info sheet still. I don't get buyers on the phone that often, but when I do, I use it. And I said to her, let me just get a little bit more information from you. And she said her budget was $550, and I said, okay. I said, it's best that we have a conversation with a lender to make sure you have peace about this before we sit down with Chrissy and go through this whole thing about looking at homes. I want to make sure you're okay and have peace about it, because it may make more sense for you to rent than buy, right? And that's a trust builder right there for me. I do that kind of stuff all the time because it truly might. And it disarms them, makes them know that I'm not here to sell them anything. And she's like, okay. And I said, but I think I could save you a little bit of time. Let me just ask you a few questions. And I stepped into this slowly because I know I've never met this woman and I know she'd be a little standoffish. So I said, so where do you work again? Did you say Messick's? And she said, yep, Messick's. And I said, great. I said, now talk to me a little bit about any monthly payments that you have, credit card debt, car loans, things like that. She said, I have a $170 car loan payment and $25 minimum credit payment a month. And I said, great. So you have about $200 a month in monthly debts. And I said, and you'd like to keep your budget for your housing, principal interest, which is the mortgage, and taxes and insurance, called PITI, P-I-T-I, principal interest, tax and insurance, at $550. So that means your total debt outlay is $750 would be your preferred for housing and your car loan and your credit card. She said, yep. I said, now, at Messick's, do you make more than $25,000? And I started there because the wrong question to ask is how much do you make? All right, I said, no, tell me, do you make $25,000 or more? And she said, yeah, more. And I said, how about 30, 35 or more? She said, more. I said, more than 40? She said, a little. 45? Less. I said, so maybe 42.5? She said, yeah, that's about right. Right? So I have her income. I said, now is that gross or your take home? She said, that's gross. So I said, taxes are taken out of that. I said, yeah. I said, well, if you talk to a bank, they're going to take your gross income. Here, it's $42,000. And they're going to divide that by 12 months. And they're going to say your gross monthly income then is $3,400 a month. Your monthly expenses plus housing can't exceed 42% of that. So the bank is going to take $3,400. It's actually really good training, by the way. I'm glad we're covering it. And multiply it times 42%, and that equals your total housing plus everything can be $1,428 a month. For those of you watching, there it is. And if your debt is 200 of that, that means your housing can be $1,228. Now, Patty, I know that you want your housing to be $550. Here's the thing with the banks. They'll approve you, your debt to income ratio, your debt to gross income can be up to 42% if you have good credit. But I promise you that's going to make you house poor. I don't advise my clients to buy houses to their max pre-approval. If you buy houses where your housing and debt is 42%, you won't be able to go on vacation, you won't be able to eat out, you'll be strapped. I usually bring my clients down about 34%, 35%. In the 1980s, the max government was 25% actually. And so I like to bring them down to 34, 35. Interest rates were a lot higher back then, and there was some different, people weren't using credit as much. So 34, 35 feels good to me, and then you have 7% margin. And so even at 35%, at $3,400 a month gross, 35% of that is $1,190 minus your $200 in debt. That means your housing, for my ratio, can be $990. So let's just back into that. At $125,000 purchase, at 4.5% interest over 30 years, your monthly payment is going to be $633. If you add property taxes at $150 a month to that, that's $780. Property insurance $50, that's $825. You're still significantly under my $990. So you're probably at 29, 30%. So you're well within, and that's for a $125,000 property. But I said, if you're not comfortable over $550, that's okay, but we're going to be in the $85,000 range to get you $550. And I'm going to send you some properties at $85,000. I want you to look at them and drive by them. But I'm going to also send you some properties at $125,000. I want you to look at them and drive by them. Then we're going to follow up tomorrow, see what you think, and decide if we're going to keep the appointment and have the lender call and actually talk and verify all this. How's that sound? Right, so in 15 minutes, I was able to save everybody a lot of time just by knowledge of debt to income, some simple math with debt to income stuff. So that's another thing that's a little bit more advanced, but that if you took some notes on that you can kind of memorize those ratios and be able to regurgitate that to a buyer. I don't know where that question came from, but yeah.
That was
It's
very
good stuff.
All right, cool. So we're gonna end this recording, and I'm gonna do a role play with Ashley in the next recording.